Hi, everybody. This is David Reece, and you are watching PodRaznoKast. Tune in, turn it, share it on YouTube, share with all your friends for rock and roll.
Greetings to the new episode of PodRaznoKast. Today we're speaking with Mr. David Reece. How are you, sir?
Very good. Very good. Greetings from Italia. Buon Pasquale. Happy Easter.
Yeah. So today is Sunday. How was your day? I mean, now the day is slowly coming
That's
to an
good.
end.
We had the boys here today, one of the girlfriends, large Italian meal, and everybody's full. We're happy and healthy, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we too. We had a bit of Easter eggs and all the food
Good.
that comes with it. Um, Okay, so at first, let's talk about your latest album that was issued last year, Rapid Fire Succession on Target Part 2. So can you tell us what's the story behind the title? So it seems like that it is a follow-up to your first album. Can you tell us more about it?
I it came to me last year. I was touring solo in France, and honestly, as a solo artist, you kind of reach a plateau, we say, a level of following. And during the show, I play a lot of songs from On Target, and it's amazing how many people know that record from 1992. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
still strong. So
called Classica.
yeah, and so I was driving home to Italy and looking out the window, and I started thinking about it. I said, I need to revisit that era of my life. And so I did. I grabbed the On Target record and I turned it on and I listened and I listened and I was like, I want to start writing songs that people expect from me because I'm a hard rock singer. That's what I am. I'm not a metal singer. I'm a blues rock melodic singer. Everybody knows that. So I do a lot of writing with Andy Susamil, who played with Udo and Sinner and many other things. He and I have done a ton of albums together, a lot of songwriting together. And I called him and I said, what do you think? Should we try this? And I said, if we do it, it has to be similar to On Target. And he said, okay, let's try. And the first 4 or 5 attempts it was not there. And I think when we finally touched what we were looking for with the first song was Driver's Seat. And I knew we were onto it. That was kind of my slipping away, if you want to compare. And it even went so far as I was looking at the artwork and I said, the name Bangalore Choir is a brand. And in this business, if there's not a brand, I mean, you can look at Foreigner, there's no original members, but the name Foreigner. You can look at Dokken, you can, and it's for booking, it's a lot stronger. So I wanted to elevate my status with promoters, etc.
Yeah, like the people in Italy would say, "Nomen est omen." Yeah.
Yeah. So then I after observing the artwork, I did some records with a group. Some of them are Russian, some are Dutch, some are Italian. They're called Goot. And the bass player, Simon, does all the artwork. And he came to the house to visit. And I showed him the album cover. I said, can you get something similar to this? And we discussed it. And that's where we came up with the cover art. I wanted it to be reminiscent of On Target, which I think it is. And he did a fabulous job. So I highly recommend Simon. So go to the Goot website and listen to what I sang with those guys. Great band, great people, very talented. So the whole package just kind of fell together. And as the songwriting progressed, Andy and I it's like turning on the water. When we start moving, the songs start coming. And I wrote probably 85% of the record with Andy. And then I reached out to Mario Percadani, the guitarist from Hardline, who lives in another village close to me in Italy. And we wrote the latest single that you've seen. It's called I Never Meant To. I'm Headed For and Love and War, we wrote together. And then I reached out to Ferdy Durenberg, keyboard player from Axel Rudy Pell, and I said, I want something like Elton John ish piano piece. Do you have any ideas? And he sent me the song Mending Fences, the music, and I wrote the lyric in about 10 minutes. And then I did a show a couple of years ago in Holland with a thing called Rock Party of the Year. And it was actually Les Binks, the drummer from Judas Priest, the original, his last performance. He was there and a bunch of singers. And I met this guitar player named Marcel Singer, who had been the main guitar player during the 2-day festival of those shows. And I realized how talented he was as a guitar player. So we should write some songs together. And he sent the music for Sail On. And that was kind of my attempt at Jump, I suppose. Great song, I think. And then another guy named Marco Pittori I had met. I'd sang on some of his demos. He sent me Swimming with a Shark originally, and it was a punk rock song, and I demoed it for his project. And I didn't really care for it. And Giles Lavery from Brave Words Records said, there's something to that song. If you could modernize it, I think you've got something there. So we fought and fought, and finally ended up with what you hear on the record. So that was the writing process. And honestly, the whole thing came together in about 4 weeks. We wrote about 24 songs. And a good problem to have is not knowing which songs to put on the record.
That you have more than it's needed. So like I mentioned, the album's cover is, let's say, a bit more mature comparing to the first one. I mean, the first one was like a bit more, I don't know, Cold War-esque or so. But this one is, let's say, a bit more, I don't know, WW2, so the World War II inspired, like the bombers and all that. So, like I mentioned, it is like a very good mixture between your old and your modern sound. How did you, let's say, find the balance between that album doesn't sound like that you are trying to be back in 1991, but still that you, I don't know, catch the energy or the ethos of that era. So
it's with technology, I think you're going to have that more modern sound anyways. And we've all kind of matured growing up through different phases of music styles, and I think it rubbed off on you subconsciously. But the fundamental had to be the verse, the big pre-chorus, and the chorus, because that's what Bangalore Choir is. Bangalore Choir means explosive vocals. Bangalore Torpedo is a tube, a military bomb. And when I named the band back in the 89, it was like, my brother's military. And he said, why don't you call it Bangalore? I said, isn't that a city in India? And he said, yeah, but there's a Bangalore Torpedo. And everybody in the band at that time sang lead vocals. So it was a choir. I mean, we did everything live. We rehearsed vocals only at rehearsal. We'd sing 5-part harmonies. So that's where it came. Explosive vocals is kind of my image. But to go, you can't, so many bands sound the same record after record after record. You have to put some elements from the past, but then you also have to put some of the new ideas and sounds in too. So overall, I mean, this is the best-selling record I've had in 20 years. I was #1 in America for 6 weeks at 97 Underground radio in Baltimore, Maryland. 6 weeks straight with Bullet Train. Then Driver's Seat was #1 for 3 weeks. And now I Never Meant To is crawling up the charts on all the radio stations that are left in America. So I cannot be more happy with how it was received. I mean, it's just everybody loved it. I was shocked, to be honest. I was really surprised.
Also, when I was doing a research, album seems to be like very, very. Its acceptance seems to be very good. Can you maybe also tell us? So you've been in the business for, let's say, more than 45 or even more years. What is still driving you to make new music? Is that like the whole creating process that if you, I don't know, stand still, you don't feel good or so?
Yeah, I'm not myself. I have it's almost like an OCD problem. If I'm not busy, I kind of get in a dark place. I'm actually 8 songs completed into the follow-up album to Rapid Fire Succession right now.
Oh, nice.
I'm constantly, I mean, as you can see when I was writing down your intro, I'm writing a new album as we speak. And I'm being very cautious because Rapid Fire was so well received. I have to deliver. And it's not like I'm worried about it, but I want it to be better than that record, if that's possible. But to answer your question, I'm one of those people that if I'm not active, I'm a little bit crazy. So it's very therapeutic for me. I sing every day. I have my piano over here, my guitars over here. I work on my voice every day. And like you said, I've been doing this since I was professionally 16, 17 years old. I'm 65 and I'm lucky enough to still have a voice from screaming for so many years that I take very good care of myself. I don't drink. I don't party. I want to deliver the best I can, musically and vocally as I can for the audience, and for myself. I want to listen back and go, hey, that's pretty good.
And is there maybe any particular track that you are especially, I don't know, fond of that is like one of your most favorites from this recent album?
I love Bullet Train. I love Driver's Seat. The ballad, I Never Meant To. I really love that. It was written about my daughters when I got divorced because a lot of families, when they split up, one side will, turn on the other side, and the children are the ones that suffer. So it was more of a, I still love you. I'm there for you. Very personal song for me. I like I'm Headed For. Right now off the top of my head, that's what comes to mind. I mean, I played all of those songs on the last tour with Alcatraz and Girls School last fall. And everybody knew it because they were getting so much media. They knew the song. So when I kicked into Bullet Train, everybody was singing it. So, it's a real joy to play live and I can sing it well. So yeah, I'd say that's one of my babies, the hard rock ones and the ballad. I love Mending Fences. I love The Light. That's got kind of a country rock vibe to it. I like, it's funny. It's, you can listen back to a record when you do it and you go, I could have sang that better. We could have played that better, but that's every album. But when you get an overall feeling about an album, I like the whole record, because in all honesty, sir, that I have tried to do some Bangalore Choir records in the interim in the last few years. And there's always like 3 really strong songs and like 7 or 8 stinkers, that are just not quite there. And I'm the first to admit it. You'll have 3 or 4 that are like getting the video plays and some radio, but they didn't have the I don't know, the shine that these had because everybody embraced this one automatically. So I'm aware of that, and that's what was my fear. If I go back and do this, I can't just put out a record called Bangalore Choir. I have to really make it Bangalore Choir.
Yeah, that it doesn't come out like, I don't know, maybe some cheap try that it's just for the sake of it. Yeah,
a lot of singers fell into the David Coverdale copy thing, including myself in the late 90s, early 2000s. Everybody was emulating, trying to write "Is This Love" and "Still of the Night." We all fell into that. You probably realize a lot of records sounded the same. The Hammond, the Stratocaster, the big, love titles and stuff. And I was like, what am I doing? This is not me. There's only one David Coverdale and one Paul Rodgers. I mean, I'm David Reece, So being in France and after playing those songs in so many shows, I finally said in the epiphany, I've got to do this. This is what people expect of me.
And so you also mentioned that you are, I don't know, slowly working on the upcoming one. Can you maybe tell us more about it? I mean, it's still, I guess, in the early stages, but is there maybe
Well,
some timeline when we can expect it, or?
well, Rapid Fire came out October 24th, 2025.
Mm,
So I've still got some time. I'd like to release it within a year's time
mm,
from the last one. I have festivals in July in Scandinavia and Bulgaria and some other countries to play this summer. Um, but yeah, I'd like to stay in the same time frame. But musically, I'm writing with Andy again, but I sang on a record a couple of songs for a guy named Steve Gordon, who has a band called MIA, and there's a lot of different singers on it. I met Steve through Brave Words Records, and he's connected to a guy named Tommy McWilliam. Tommy played drums with Shakira, Miami Sound Machine. He's done Rod Stewart records. He's played with everybody, and both of them were writing with Desmond Child a
mm,
while ago. They all live in the same neighborhood in Florida. So one day after listening what I tracked with them, I said, "You want to write some songs together?" And they're like, "Absolutely." So I've done a lot of writing with those two, and they are extraordinary songwriters. They just have that, they get it. You know, when they listen to my record, The Last BC, they go, "That's what you're going for?" I said, "Yes." So they're sending me tracks probably every 2 days. I'm getting new ideas. I'll sing in a phone. I'll come up with a concept, tell them about the concept. They'll write me back, "What about this riff?" I said, "That's good. Work on that." And then they'll send it to me kind of laid out roughly. Then I'll write the lyrics to it, go sing it, and then we'll tighten it up as a demo stage.
mm.
So yeah, I mean, I got 8 that I think are right in line with the last record. Absolutely. Maybe a little more edgy, maybe a little more commercial, but kind of modern in there as well, like you mentioned before. And I think that's with the technology that we're working with. But I still have my band here in my village, the bass player and drummer, that are 5 minutes from me, and the studio and everything. So we're always together, recording, playing. So it's really comfortable. We all know each other. We can bounce ideas. So it'll be very similar to the last record.
Mm. And since, like we mentioned, you've been in business for almost, let's say, half a century, in hard rock and other, let's say, genres. What do you find did change the most in these 50 years, concern like in hard rock world or on the music scene as a whole?
Well, it's everything's changed so much. I mean, Americans compared to Europeans, the American audience, we always say here today, gone later today. It's a very fast, they're not as loyal as the European fan base. So, in Europe, you can release a few albums that are so-so, but if you have a fan base, they'll stand with you and they'll come see you. They'll want to hear the classics. You know what I mean? They won't give up on you. In America, they'll forget that you even ever were there. What keeps me going is just this feeling that I have in my soul that I haven't written that, pardon me, that song yet. I'm always never quite satisfied that I've written that song where I can go, okay, maybe I'll just tour the rest of my life with my back catalog and I'm done writing. I don't know if that's possible, but I always have a feeling that I could always do more. But the changes in the music business, don't forget, you may not know this, I retired for 9 years in that time.
When I was doing a research, I found that you were in some hunting project and yeah.
I train hunting dogs as my passion. And I bird hunt, which we do it's called upland bird hunting. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
I
was in
only
Colorado.
know from the movies when they are having these eagles or falcons on the hands and all that. You mean this or?
I don't do that type of hunting. It's man and beast and gun.
Okay.
I do have some falconer friends that I've hunted with. It's an amazing thing to watch. A bird that working with a man and a dog. It's an amazing thing. I don't know how they do it, But I went to Montana because I was hunting there a lot from Colorado, and I ended up basically just saying, I've had enough of the music business. I can't take this anymore. Everything had changed when grunge came in. Nobody cared about me. I got divorced, and I just felt like I needed to start over.
Yeah,
And I
you
went to
needed
Montana.
to find your peace and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I when I went to Montana, I met some really different people because I come from the country in Oklahoma. And when I got to Montana, it was very similar, very hardworking, good people. And I started cowboying again and working cows and hunting on my free time. But deep inside myself, I would sing to the radio and go, God, I remember the old days. I miss that. And I didn't tell anybody on the ranches that I worked for what I did before they met me. They thought I was just a dog trainer, construction guy. They had no idea. And then one day, somebody got suspicious probably and said, let's find out who this guy is. Went on Wikipedia and went, oh my God, why didn't you tell us? Well, there's a real reason for that. The basic, hardworking, normal people in the world, if they find out that you've done something like I've done, they start to treat you differently. They automatically assume that you have an ego, or you think you're better than them because maybe you went to Europe and you did all this stuff. Big deal to me. I didn't want to talk about it. And then as soon as they acknowledged what I did, they did change. They started acting strangely around me. I'm like, I'm the same guy I was yesterday. Just because you found out what I did, to me, it's nothing. And around the same time, I got a computer because I traded some puppies to a guy in Canada, because Montana is not far from Canada, and he was an IT guy, and he came to my house, my farm one day and said, "Where's your computer? I got to work." I said, "I don't have one." He's like, "What?" And this is like 2003. I said, "I don't have a computer." He goes, "How do you survive?" I said, "I get up, I go to work. I know what to do. I got a phone." Yeah. He goes, "Well, I'll trade you a computer for those puppies." I said, "Okay." He goes, "I'll set it up." And in those days, it was MySpace and dial-up. And I swear to God, I set up a page, and probably in 24 hours, I had 100 people ask me, "Where have you been? Are you dead? Are you alive?" And 3 bands offered me jobs. And so I was starting to kind of miss the music business, and a band from Sweden called Gypsy Rose said, "Can you come to Sweden?" Now, imagine telling your boss, I have to go to Sweden and make an album. And it did not go over well. So I went to Sweden, recorded the album, and my voice was not in shape because I hadn't sang professionally for a long time. And by the end of that recording, I started to get it back. So I went back to Montana, and they called me and said, "Hey, man, you got to re-record these tracks. You're really starting to sound great." So I had to tell my boss again, I got to go back to Sweden. Well, he let me go. He said, I need you here. We had 200 cows. You can't just leave the man. And I understood it. So with the hope that I would go back on tour, everything, I had no idea how much the music business had changed. I didn't know anything about illegal downloading. I had no clue that CDs were not being made like they used to be. Vinyl, all that stuff I had no idea. So getting concerts and all the promises being made was like going back in time and hearing the same lies and like, oh, here we go again. I decided to do music, and now nothing's happening. Now I don't have a job. What am I going to do? So that that part of it did never change. This business is full contact sport. And I don't care what anybody says. If you're thin skinned, you need to go work at McDonald's. So here I am. I jumped back in head first, and I've made probably 20 records since 2004. I don't know.
And since we already started to talk about your, let's say, past projects, we also cannot miss, I guess, the subject that you, I guess, also are being asked a lot about your era in Accept.
So record right there.
Yeah, that was also the reason why I was getting there. So this year, Accept is also celebrating its 50th anniversary. Were there any talks that you might pop up somewhere, or has that ship sailed?
I hear rumors of like Accept Fest. like Michael Schenker did. But I've never had any hard contact. I'm really good friends with Udo. I'm good friends with Peter Baltus, but I've never been actually approached about it. It wouldn't surprise me. And I'm okay if they say, okay, we want you to do like a few shows. I'll just ride in a rental car and follow the bus. I don't care. I would love to do it. I mean, that part of my life is the reason I'm talking to you. That's what brought me to the forefront publicly in the music business. That was my breakout moment, you know. So I would love to. I mean, I play Ecstasy, I play D-Train, I play Generation Clash, Hellhammer Live in my set, even now.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, I would love to, but it's up to Wolf. I mean, it's Wolf's band now. I mean,
Yeah, definitely. So
well,
you are open to it, but you still didn't get, let's say, the offer to do it.
it would be a massive undertaking. Trust me. There's so much history with that band, and let's say good blood and bad blood. I mean, to get everybody to agree to do it would be a really big job.
Yeah.
But my door is open. Call me, find me. I'm there.
Yeah, I saw Udo last year when he was playing in Zagreb. Now he's doing the 40th anniversary of the Balls to the Wall, and he still sounds like they played, I guess, 2 hour set or so. That's like, I don't know, 20, 25 songs ish. And yeah.
I mean, the man is he's in his early 70s.
Yeah,
I mean,
a machine. Yeah.
He's a Panzer tank. I mean, I did the UDO Steel Factory tour, David Reece solo, as a special guest in 2018, 19. And I think we played 38 shows together, and it was fabulous. And every night he was the same. He's not lost a step. But I can tell you this, he had a bone infection that he had contracted in Spain. And the doctors told him, you need to go home and get well. And he said, I never cancel. So most of the tour I did with him, he used a cane on stage. And it was unbelievable. I mean, the guy was, I respect that man to no end. I'm dear friends with him and his son, Sven. Sven's band Damage used to open for me in Germany. And if Udo was home, he would come to the shows. And of course, people go, oh, David Reece is playing and Udo's here. So it was kind of an event. People get to see us together. We never had a problem. When I joined the band, he was doing Mean Machine next door to me in Dirk Studios. And that's where I met Andy. And Udo never, ever treated me weird. He was always a gentleman, said, good luck. You know, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's not easy. I wish you the best. And we've always been gentlemen.
And so when you came in the band, like I said, Udo was also starting his let's say solo career and all that. Can you maybe tell us any interesting stories from the recording of the album Hit to the Hit?
Yeah, I was a club singer. That's how they found me, really. And I remember halfway through the album, Dieter Dirk stopped recording and looked at me and said, you realize if this album fails, that they'll blame you and they'll blame me. And I said, you know, I thought I was hot shit, you know. But those were the truest words I've ever heard. And that's exactly what happened. The album failed, and they blamed me and they blamed him. The production was too slick. The new singer, it doesn't work.
Yeah, but do you think, because just before we started this conversation, I have revisited just to, you know, to make conversation goes, so to prepare for the conversation. But do you maybe think that album, I mean, because it's, I mean, I don't find the production being, let's say, like you mentioned, an issue, but more that it was maybe released too late, because at that period the whole thing was slowly moving to the more, let's say, smoother sound, but you still, it's quite hard rock-esque record. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes I look back in retrospect and think maybe we should have changed the name, but again, it goes back to branding. I think the first release single, the video for Generation Clash, was a terrible mistake because it's a heavy metal band. And we released D-Train or Ecstasy as the first single, keep the fans that were devout followers, oh, they're still heavy. But we came out with kind of the polished American blonde singer, Americanized version, which was all came from corporate, because basically the after Balls to the Wall, they started moving in the direction of that sound.
Yeah, like Metal Heart and yeah.
Russian Roulette, they started to kind of get more commercialized, and Udo's voice did not suit that. So the record companies all said, hey, get a singer that's, you know, got this vibe, and we can break this record into million seller, which was a mistake. I mean, people that wear suits and ties in record companies, they don't know what fans want. They have no clue. All they think about is money. And it was a shock for the band that it wasn't that successful, and a shock for me that I wasn't taken in and loved. I was either hated or loved. There was no middle.
Yeah, these decisions are like very hit and miss. I mean, I wasn't there. I was born in '94, but I love to, let's say, make a deep dives in the history and all that, because you understand them things better, you know, both sides and all that. And yeah, some stuff, yeah, I guess comes out okay, but on the other hand, some stuff is like very.
I mean, I'm an American. They're Germans. Number one, you've got cultural differences. One thing I learned from Accept, it's you know, you go from playing 5 shows a night, clubs 7 days a week, to joining a band like Accept. They were like the second largest metal band in Germany, Scorpions being number 1. That was a whole different game for me. I was like, you know, I can do this. Well, Dieter said, you've got a great voice, but we have to discover what it is. We have to find the identity. And I didn't understand that. But, you know, when you're trying to sing like Halford or Dio or David Coverdale and doing cover songs, you really don't have an identity. Where like Udo, that's just how he sings. That was the voice when he started the band in 1974. So that's what it was. Well, the hardest part of the process was being accepted in the band, no pun intended, was the final audition was a live show in Cologne, and they invited a lot of heavy people there to give their opinion, and there was about 1,000 people at the show. I was convinced that that was my last day there, that it won't work. And I did the show. It went really well, and we had a guest house, and I heard everybody talking in the morning, so I got up and said, well, I better go say goodbye. And I walked into the kitchen, and they all said, welcome to Accept. So I was hired. That was pretty terrifying because I'd been there for a long time, and they were really nervous about making the change because they had a singer before me from England named Robert Armitage for a while, and he didn't work out. And, you know, you never really knew with them what they were thinking. They kept things very much in their private circle. Nobody would say yes, nobody would say no. So that was really the final test, if I could fit in the band, and I made it. So, yeah, you know, learning how to drink German beer. That was, I spent pretty much all my free nights with Udo and his band, usually, during the process. That's how I got to know Udo. Got to meet the Scorpions, you know, big deal for me, you know, being an American guy. I always tell my friends, be careful who you meet if they're your idols, because they might let you down. They just like, hey, how you doing? They didn't care, you know, but it's a big deal for me.
And do you maybe also plan to do some collaborations with Udo on some, I don't know, your maybe solo project or his album? I read online that he has just finished with his album that should come out next year.
With Udo?
Yeah.
No, we don't have any plans to work together. No. No.
But did that idea ever pop up maybe, or were you like, let's say, jamming together, or is that too totally different?
No, I don't think. We never talked about that. We just talked about our time with Accept and how good it was to see each other, and you know, a level of respect.
Yeah, you're your business is one thing, his business is other thing, and if you don't interfere, yeah, that's
Right.
totally understandable. So can you also, before we go, can you also maybe tell us where can we see you this summer? Where can we follow your projects, your endeavors?
Okay. Like I said earlier, I'm nearly done writing the new album. I play Headbangers Festival in July. I play Volcanic Festival in France. I'm going to play Bulgaria in August, Scandinavia in September. And I'm waiting for confirmation on more festivals this year.
Mm,
So last year I toured a lot with this last record. So, but things are kind of tough out there.
yeah, once the wheel starts rolling, then you have to make the most of it. Can you maybe also tell us, since how do you maybe, I mean, the whole touring cycle is also, I guess, quite mentally demanding. Can you maybe tell us do you have any secret tricks that help you I don't know, stay in mental shape also, and how do you keep your mental condition?
Don't drink, sleep.
Mm.
Before shows, try not to talk too much.
And that you
Especially now, you have to play every night because it costs so much to tour. Rest is the key for any singer. It's a muscle. Rehearsal, keep your voice in shape, and try to stay positive. Because human beings, when you're traveling together, you learn a lot about personalities, and you can't let it affect your psychological state.
yeah.
One person has a bad day, you can't let it affect you. You just try, do the job.
Yeah, that you take everything into account, because it's life, yeah.
Yeah, it's human beings.
Okay, David, thank you very much for this interesting
Thank you.
conversation and for your time. Do you have any closing thoughts that you would like to share with your fans, our
I want
viewers?
to thank you and the people of your country and the support of my career. Hopefully I play your country.
Yeah, definitely.
I've
Looking
never
forward.
played there. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, we're quite close. It's not Slovenia and America, but it's
Yeah.
10 hour drive or 8 hour drive, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can do that standing on my head.
Yeah, Milano is nice, especially with all the historical sites like Scala and the what's the famous cathedral there? The famous one, and your fashion fair and all that. So yeah, and San Siro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The beautiful church in the center of the city, and
I went to see a show, and then we also took our bicycles with us, and then we enjoy the city, because I guess from the bicycle you get totally different perspective than I guess from a car or bus or so, and you can.
And the food.
Yeah, definitely. And especially, I mean, yeah, of course, pasta and all that, but also it's interesting how, like, pizza as a dish, how different is, let's say, here in Slovenia or in Croatia or wherever, and in Italy. It's like totally different. Like, I guess, I don't know if the word construct is correct for pizzas outside Italy, but
it's real here.
Yeah.
And compared to American pizza, it's my wife in America, she's like, this isn't pizza. It's a whole different method of creating.
and also of course good Italian wine and all that. But that I guess is a topic for another day. So once again, thank you for your time, and have a pleasant rest of the Easter, and and good
Thank
luck
you.
with
You as well.
and good luck with the upcoming endeavors, and hope to see you soon in some concert.
Look
Yeah.
for Bangalore Choir on Target, Rapid Fire Succession on Target Part 2, Brave Words Records. Come to Instagram, my Facebook page, David Reece and Bangalore Choir, and bands in town, everything. You can find out what's happening.
Yeah, links will be also below in the description so people can check it out. So once again, thank you, and best of luck for the future.
You too, my friend. Thank you very much.